So we've done two episodes in the past on William Byrd, and I think we'd be remiss not to talk about again, I suppose, his relationship with Tallis. They well, first of all, we don't have much detail on this, but it's reasonable to think that Tallis was Byrd's teacher at some point. Secondly, they at one point worked together, and they shared a monopoly given by Queen Elizabeth on, was it the printing of all music in England?
Yes, the printing of all music, not just church music, not
Yes.
everything.
Did they also have a monopoly on the importation of music from outside, or only the printing of music imported from outside?
It was importation as well. Officially, nobody else was allowed to bring in music from any other country, and if you were caught bringing it in, it goes to Tallis and Byrd, so they just build up
They
their collection.
confiscate.
That's
This
crazy.
is hilarious and fascinating to me. Not only with this music monopoly, but with the kinds of payments and favors that you would get from a monarch in their position. They later end up asking for, I don't know what it is, like some stock in real estate, essentially, something like that. Some basically collecting rent on some nice real estate. And it's so strange and almost mafia-esque.
Yeah.
Like you get a cut of this, you get a cut of that business, you get a cut of the garbage collection.
Exactly.
And especially with the monopoly on music. I mean, no judgment on Tallis and Byrd, but can you imagine a musician today getting a monopoly on the public? You're the only one who can cut an album,
I know.
for the next 10 years, and if somebody else does it, you get the rights. I mean, that's so
insane.
It's manifestly unjust and insane. I guess printing was so new, that maybe you give them a little bit of a pass. And of course, all of these royal monopolies in trade, this was hardly the only area in which this was done for centuries. But it is such a kind of mind-boggling thing to think about. I guess it didn't do them that much good financially in this case, but that's a lot of power for one musician or two musicians to have.
It was a pretty shady arrangement, and I think this one of my colleagues has a theory that the reason, and I believe this actually, the reason why they didn't make any money on their music arrangement, their monopoly, is because they had to pay so many bribes just to keep it going. They were also paying out to various people, and it was just all this shady stuff going on, and really kind of nobody benefited financially except the Queen, who always benefits financially. But what Tallis and Byrd got out of it was prestige. They were at the top of the industry. They could dedicate this book to the Queen. They could look really good. It made a lot of people mad. In fact, there was some controversy about other people trying to produce music, trying to import things, and people trying to stop them, say, no, you can't do that. And then somebody complains, well, here's Byrd, who's just a sort of common singing man who thinks he owns this whole industry. And yeah, it was definitely a kind of shady business. But I mean, Tallis and Byrd, they seem to have worked well together, though. I mean, however dodgy the whole situation was, the immediate profit they got out of it, the benefit they got, was this book of motets that they published together. And it's a beautifully produced book, really, really beautifully produced, beautifully edited, unlike most printed music in Renaissance England, which is just dripping with mistakes. You can't get through a line of it without it falling apart. But this is really nicely done. They actually had a French printer who'd immigrated to England, had a French printer print it with a French font. So not too patriotic, but because frankly, there wasn't any printer in England, native printer, that was up to the task. So they had this Huguenot refugee, this French fellow with this beautiful music font, put the whole thing together. And the whole thing shows real signs of collaboration. The year after the book came out, Byrd and his wife had a son, and Tallis was the godfather, and they named the boy Thomas after old Tom. So clearly close friends as well, and not just professional collaborators. And also, one of the pieces of music in the motet book At least I think that Byrd and Tallis composed it together.